Welcome to the DooDoo Diva Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzan Chin-Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DooDoo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. Today, we are visiting with a really exciting young man who hails from Switzerland, and he is the co-founder of Pallon. Pallon is it's another advancement in AI for pipeline inspection, data, and assessment. But what's really interesting is this company's approach. And they have done things a bit differently because they are based in Europe and for the European market. However, they are bringing this to North America, or they have already brought it. Chris is probably like, no, we're already here. They have brought it to the North American market. And so what we're going to be talking about today is a little background on the company, how they've done things or approached developing this product and service a lot differently than some of the other AI-related tools that you may have heard about out there, why it's worked really well, and where is it going from here? And so with that, welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be on your show.
Thank you. Well, Chris, you and I met through LinkedIn, my favorite platform. I brag about it all the time. And as you know, and many people who know me, I really cut my teeth in this industry in CCTV pipeline inspection. And so watching all the advancements with software and the tools over the years, it's very near and dear to my heart. And so I was so excited about having you on the show because I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your background and how Pallon all came about and what you decided to do with your very special training so that you'd have a real insider's feel for what this product and service was going to be all about.
Perfect. More than happy to elaborate. So yeah, I'm Chris. Originally, I'm from Germany. I'm an environmental engineer by education. I studied in Germany, Spain, the US. So I spent some time in Michigan at University of Michigan, which was my first experience in North America. And after that, I moved to Switzerland to do my master's at ETH Zurich. ETH Zurich is the MIT of Europe. It's the school where Albert Einstein used to be a professor. So it's the best technical school on mainland Europe. And there I did my master's in environmental engineering. And when I started, I actually wanted to become a scientist. So I worked a lot of time in research. I was excited about it. But at some point, I got less excited because I had the feeling, hey, researchers are developing a lot of research or papers, right? But the things they're developing not necessarily ends in the industry and has an impact on society. So I learned about entrepreneurship. I became part of the ETH Entrepreneur Club, and that actually sets the foundation for me becoming an entrepreneur. So after my master's, I started Pallon together with 3 other co-founders. So we were 2 environmental engineers and 2 computer scientists. And we actually really believe it's so important to have both sides because we're working on the intersection of sewer domain knowledge, environmental engineering, and computer science, AI. And so we built up this team, and maybe just briefly saying how we came up with this idea. And the idea we developed when we were thinking about, like my co-founder were in Portugal on the beach drinking beer with some friends, and they were thinking about, hey, what do we actually want to do after our studies? And they had no idea, right? And then of the guys said, hey, maybe let's think about what we don't want to do. And we had a guy who spent 4 months. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes these ideas are the best ideas. So we had this guy who spent 4 months in an internship in an engineering firm, watching 8 hours per day sewer inspection footage. And he said, hey, that's something I don't want to do, right? And so that's, because it's a very monotonous, time-consuming job. And imagine you get your master's degree from one of the leading technical schools, and then your job is to watch sewer inspection videos all day long. right? So that was how the idea was born. And that was in 2017, 18, where it was before the AI bubble. And my co-founder, Dom, he was always very, very interested in AI and computer science. He did a lot of coding. He said at the stage, hey, maybe we can develop an AI in order to automate this task, right? And so Dom and I teamed up. I looked more at the business side and at the domain knowledge. He looked more on the product and strategy side. We found two other co-founders, Eric and Anton, both really, really smart kids. Eric leads our AI development. He started at the age of 10 years coding, right? At this stage, I was playing soccer, right? I was like outside, and Eric really, really enjoyed coding, so we needed somebody like him, and Anton, who also is a really, really good developer. So we started early on, and our approach was then, okay, we first really wanted to focus in order to build an AI which allows our customers to spend less time on watching the footage and actually have more time to make decisions with the data, right? And by also improving this data, because several studies show that when human beings analyze sewer inspection footage, there is on average, 25% of the defects are missed or misclassified. So every fourth defect is not correctly coded by a human being. And it's also highly subjective. So if we both would watch the same videos, there's like in only 60% of the cases we would make the same decisions, and in 40% of cases we make different decisions. So there's a high subjectivity in the data.
Now, hang on, because there's been that talk that, the NASCO, the PACP, and the MACP standards were supposed to help mitigate that. So are you saying that even within, if you're trained and you're PACP certified and you're using the PACP standards, even within that, there could be a misjudgment of which MACP code or defect severity someone might assign to it?
Exactly. So the study was done on
the
study was done on European data on EN 13582. That was a coding standard which was developed before NASCO. So NASCO is based on it or based on WRC.
The WRC. Okay.
And in the study, they looked at data from sewer inspectors in the German-speaking region, in the Benelux, in the Nordics, and they analyzed it. They gave them all the same data set, and they looked at like who is coding what, like and at what quality, and that's how they arrived with this data.
Well, so the standards helped, but they haven't gotten rid of the chance for human error completely. Okay.
Yeah, and I think like there are two things. On the one hand, like imagine watching and you have done that also. You know this industry. Imagine spending 8 hours per day. Because I can talk from my own experience, to be honest, and I think that might be even better. So when we started with this company, somebody of us we tried to train an AI on the data of the humans, but it didn't work out that well because the data was so subjective. So I actually became a certified sewer inspector. I spent the first 2 years in our company watching 4 to 6 hours a day of sewer inspection footage to train our AI. And I wasn't as stressed as the operators, right? Like the guys in the field. I had all the time in the world. And my goal was to do it as objective and as consistently and as accurately as possible. Nevertheless, I would always check the next morning the data I did in the afternoon, because in the afternoon I was more tired, right? And I would then see, hey, Chris, here are 2 tabs. They look exactly the same, but one time you say that it's a break in hammered and the other one is drilled. How comes? They look exactly the same. Or here I missed a crack. And I think these things are happening because like if human beings do monotonous tasks over a long time or a period, at some point the concentration decreases and we just commit mistakes, right? It's just a task very difficult for a human being to do that consistently.
That makes a lot of sense. So now you touched on, when we were offline and talking about this, how is Pallon doing things a little bit differently, like your customers in Europe, in using AI and using your system for pipeline inspection data and analysis? And then I want to talk about how are you intending of taking those successes that you've achieved in Europe? Because I know the plan is you're already here in the United States. You are working with a number of leading construction and engineering firms here in the US as well as in Canada. Is it going to be the same? Maybe this is a long-winded question, but is it going to be the same, or are some things going to be maybe modified slightly to fit the North American market? So just understanding what's been Europe's take on this.
Yeah, so let's go back and first focus on Europe before we focus on North America.
Right.
And I think the important thing is, similar as in North America and Europe, everyone already has a on-truck inspection software, right? They have a GIS system. So they have software infrastructure in place. So that's why we decided to not build another sewer inspection software or another GIS software, right? We wanted to focus on one part, building an engine for our customers to analyze data in an objective, consistent, accurate way at scale, right? So we are really focused on analyzing this data. And so what we did is we started working, understanding how data is exchanged from one software to another. And in Europe, like just in the German-speaking region, there are a total of like 3 mainly used exchange files. Like in North America, you have the NASCO PACP database in different versions. In the German-speaking region, you have 2 different types of databases which are being used. So we started implementing that we can import exports of databases. Then in the next step, we implemented a process to analyze this data. And there we always have several steps. So in the first step, we take the data, we're building 3D models of the pipes, of the manholes, we're improving the image quality, because with better data, it's also easier for our object detection to detect the defects, right? Then in a second step, we run an AI machine learning model to automatically detect the defects. Then in a third step, we calculating where our AI is certain or uncertain. And in case the AI is uncertain and is a relevant effect, we give it to human beings, and we always give the same example to at least 2 human beings, because of course I talked about the subjectivity of the human, and if we just give it to one human, this human will always make a subjective judgment. That's why we give it to 2 different human beings, and we see if they react the same. So if they have the same, we believe it's correct, and we can give it to the customer. If they react differently, we give it to a third human being, and thereby we can decrease the subjectivity of the quality control.
That is fascinating. And okay, so if you're listening to this and you're trying to, is this just another, pipe survey inspection software data? No, this is something that takes what you've captured in the field, helps you to analyze it to the best of its ability for accuracy using machine as well as humans. And then he gives it back to you so that you can import it into your software, where that it can generate all those lovely reports that analyzes all the data of which pipes are worse, which can you hold off on, all that data that you usually give back to your customer, if I'm understanding it correctly. Is that an accurate description?
You summarized it correctly. So we really focus on the data analysis part, making sure that the people who use our service get the best possible data, that they can focus on either, if they're contractors, inspecting more pipes, inspecting more manholes, while not needing to deal with the data analysis part. So we're taking up this burden. Or if they're engineers, right, that they get the best possible data, so they spend less time on QC and QA in it, but rather spending their time on making decisions with the data, basically when and how to rehabilitate a pipe or manhole.
Well, I'm seeing, with this kind of layer of data, that you'd be able to, as an inspector, get more feet inspected per day, because you're not having to stop and code and make that analysis and report on it while you're doing it in the line. So you're just basically capturing all that footage, and then it's taking place after the fact. And I remember people talking about, they just speed through, and then there's some poor soul that has to sit there and view 8 hours of that data and code it while the truck is just out there capturing, mile after mile after mile of footage.
Exactly. No, you're so right. And I think it's very important to have this technology now, because we have a severe labor shortage, right? It's really, really difficult to find humans who are interested, who are willing to do this tough job, the job of an inspector, right? And I said, the data quality of the human beings might not be ideal, and the same with me. But a sewer inspector needs to do so many things. They need to be out in the field for 8 hours. They need to operate these expensive machines. They need to work with the software. They need to do so many things. And then on top of that, they need to be able to correctly code the facts according to a standard. And me being an environmental engineer, having studied at 4 different top universities, it still took me at least a year to get good at it, right? It takes a long time to get proficient and coding as the facts. And so we can take over this burden. People still need to be educated. They still need to know what they're doing. But they can focus on just getting more footage in, and I think thereby increasing the revenue as a contractor, but also for the engineers, like getting better data to make the decisions right.
And you touched on something that's really, really important that I didn't even think about when we were talking about this earlier, is about that labor shortage, is that now your operator is not tasked as doing as much in the field with maybe not as much help, but yet he's still able to meet that quota of footage inspected, and then you being able to then have that data or what's been collected deliver back a truly accurate report to your client with confidence and just up the entire process. And I think that's brilliant. And so, yeah, tell me a little bit about, when you've brought it to the United States and you started working with they will remain nameless because they've asked, that a major contractor that does this, government contractor. So what is it that you're doing that you've brought from Europe, and how are you mapping that to the North American needs? Because the systems are very, very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe before I jump into that, one more step back. So we have been doing that now for 7 years in Europe, right? So we have been becoming the market leader.
You're not a newcomer. Yeah, you've been around for a while.
We have spent a lot of time developing that, and we are European engineers, so we maybe also have a bit of a different approach. So we spend a lot of time, a lot of our finances on developing this product and making it scalable. And now we're serving over 200 clients, big cities like the city of Munich, the city of Frankfurt, Zurich, Hamburg, like the biggest cities in the German-speaking regions have become our clients, but also the contractors and engineering firms who are working with the smaller municipalities. And I have to add there, the European coding standard is more complex than the NASCO standard. There's more different classes. It requires more information. So for instance, if you have a crack, a fissure, you need to add the width of the fissure, for instance, which is per default. Or if you have a displaced joint, you need to measure how many millimeters or how many inches it's displaced, right? Like all those things we had to develop. And let's say I'm a German engineer myself, and German engineers are very, very critical. They're very technical focused, but it was quite complex to make these German engineers happy. It took some time to get into the market, but now having done that and being able to serve under the most stringent, the most difficult requirements, we're quite excited to bring this knowledge, which was gained over many, many years, and a lot of data we analyze to the North American market, where we see that we can do a similar approach, but slightly different. So again, in North America, we are focusing on this data analysis part. Of course, we have a software around where people can upload, share data, import, export data, create reports. But again, we are very, very dedicated of being a small part in their existing value chain. They all have an inspection software. They might have a GIS. And we want to be this analyzed pattern in between. And that said, so we had like a different strategy here. So there are existing companies. So we partnered with PipeTech. PipeTech is one of the most used sewer inspection companies. So we became their partner for the AI analysis part, which, like they are great software. They're on thousands of trucks installed, right? They have capabilities to upload the data. So we're building an API which allows a direct exchange from the data from their web-based software to ours, so that the client can choose. They have the software already. They say, I need this and this pipe, this manual, AI analyzed, quality controlled. They send it over. We do the analysis. We send it back. So we make a seamless integration with the existing workflow. Similar to the software part, we have partnered with Rhino Vision, one of the most used manhole scanning devices. And again, here we became the AI partner. They Yeah, like there are several hundred out in the field creating manual inspection data, but now partnering with us, they can offer their client a full solution from, hey, you go out, you scan those manholes, the manholes get automatically uploaded to the cloud, they are sent to our software, we do the analysis MACP level 2, so where we not only code the defects, but based on the point cloud, we measure the different component, we create a report which can meet the standards in North America, and then the client basically can focus on scanning as many manholes as possible and doesn't need to deal with the data analysis part. And thereby we're creating a much bigger value proposition for their clients.
Wow. I mean, I think I would say, cities and contractors are going to love this just because it's a time saver, like you were saying about the labor of if we're being tasked to do just as much work, but with fewer people. And the only way that we're going to accomplish what we need to accomplish, it doesn't matter that we have fewer people. The work still needs to get done. This is vital infrastructure, critical infrastructure. How do we do it? We have to embrace technology breakthroughs and technology tools like this to just help us. There's always that fear of, oh my gosh, AI is going to replace us. No, AI is just going to help you do your job easier. Because like you said, and this will be a segue into our next episode, is that AI is not perfect, is that you still, we aren't perfect. We think, oh, we're doing perfect coding. And as you said at the very beginning, even we as humans, it's subjective that even though we have these standards that we've been trained, we still make mistakes. There's still some of that objectivity, and there's that human error when people get tired. So we still need human beings even to check the AI's work. And so on our next episode, we're going to continue this conversation on findings that you have discovered in regards to AI's true capabilities, what it does really well, what it doesn't do well, and how it can help, and really where the future is going for AI in this industry, this little pocket of pipeline inspection data analysis. And I'm really looking forward to, exploring that with you. And so for those who have been listening, Chris, if they want to learn more about Pallon's service, this data analysis service and software, I guess you could call it a software, but AI tool, how can they learn more?
I think the best way is to go on our website, Pallon.com. There, on the one hand, they find information, but I think even more interestingly, they can sign up for a free trial, right? Like they can test the capabilities of our AI on their own data. And I think that's something I would recommend anyone who is interested in learning that, because I can stand here and say, hey, we have the best AI. But at the end, we should let the data speak, right? And anyone who is interested in using AI-based defect reporting, try out the different suppliers, upload the same data set there, see how quickly do you get the data back, how well is the data coded, in order to make your own mind. So let the data speak. So I invite all of you for a free trial with our AI and see how efficient and effective it can be on your own data.
Great idea. Thank you. That's great that you offer that. Well, Chris, thank you for coming on to the show and talking about this. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to continuing the dialogue about where AI is going to be going here for the industry. And so thank you, audience, for tuning in. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.